friends. We're gathered here today to get through this thing called life. And it is because of so many people who are gathered here today that these past 15 months have been survivable. It is a reminder of how embraced we are as a family, even in the darkest of times. Thank you all for being here to support us and one another, and to remember the fiercely generous, irreverently funny, impeccably fabulous lady with exquisite taste in all areas of life that I was honored for 43 years to call my sister. There is not a person in the room that does not know how Carolyn felt about them. Because if you knew her, she held nothing back. She told you if you wronged her, if you wronged yourself, and not only exactly what it was that you did wrong, but also how you could fix it. And no matter how mad it might have made you that she shared her unabashed opinion, she was more often than not right. She had an overt sense of justice, a Glasso girl trait which I am deeply familiar. She had a bulldog-like perseverance, and she believed whatever you set your mind to, you could make happen. So many artists were encouraged to get in there, just do it. Her advice changed good careers into great ones. Her guidance changed nice art collections into museum-quality collections. She didn't just encourage friends to start businesses, she ordered them to start businesses. Carolyn seized the opportunities of life and expected everyone else alongside her to do so as well. She was deeply culturally literate. She read everything amazing. She ate everything great. She traveled widely and broadly from Burma to Cassis, soaking up all that life had to offer. And she did this with that sparkle in her eye. If you want a reminder of this sparkle, look at her son, Matson, and how he smiles. It is with the same sparkling eyes that he inherited from his mother. Carolyn was a legendary storyteller, exaggerating at times for the uber enjoyment of her listener. She was a 5-star chef and a lover of fine cuisine. The best meals of my life have been cooked by her or at her suggestion. I will never forget the outlandishly priced dinner we shared in Paris at Joel Robuchon. I would never have spent this much on food, but Carolyn said, "We must, because how often are two Glasso girls going to be alone in Paris?" Only once, it turned out, were we alone together in Paris. And she was right. That night I ate the best meal of my life. I enjoyed the best company. Carolyn knew every single person in that restaurant before we left. And I experienced a moment in time that I will never forget with my sister. There is so much Carolyn did to enhance my life. When I got engaged to Dines, who she found for me, thank God. He normalizes me. She threw me a surprise bachelorette party. A rented Santa Monica City bus showed up and transported all of my college cohorts and many of my childhood friends to the rented-out famous Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip. A hilarious night ensued. There were skits performed about my life that had obviously been thought about and rehearsed behind my back. It is a night I'll always remember because I never laughed as hard or had anyone throw an event as meaningful for me. I enjoyed that Carolyn enjoyed my friends and that I also loved hers. This is why I often submitted to being her personal clown. It gave her great joy to show off my ability to sing with my mouth closed, or prank call someone with one of the character voices I had invented. Carolyn carried my college ID with her for the past 22 years in her wallet. In the picture, my head is super, super huge. It's already huge, but it's like super huge. It overtakes like 3/4 of the ID, so it's almost appalling where you're like, whoa. You can also see the large wad of gum in the back of my mouth because apparently the photographer of that picture was super funny. She loved to show it to anyone needing a laugh or a pick-me-up. I have it tonight. It's inside. If anyone needs a pick-me-up, if you want to take a look at it, I'll pass it around. Just let me know. There are things about Carolyn that most people didn't know. She was a whiz at the stock market. While some people worked out to music, she worked out to CNN's Hard Money. She had a hot water tolerance like no one I've ever known. She never even turned on the cold when she went in a shower or a bath. She liked to drive and fast. Sometimes on highway exit ramps, it felt like we were going to take off in flight rather than stop at the signal. She could tolerate Disneyland's Space Mountain endless times. She once convinced James Earl Jones to say the word butter to her slowly and multiple times until they giggled before he went on stage at an awards show. She loved to sit silently on a lake and fish for hours, and usually with Chris. She was a perfect shot, an incredible card player, and when we were younger and had more time on our hands, she was a really gifted potter. She loved to watch action movies. The more ridiculous and bad, the better. Con Air was her favorite movie. One time, Prince serenaded her on top of a piano at Runyon's Bar and Grill in Minneapolis. She could always be convinced to join you in a juice cleanse or enlisted to help you raise money for your worthy cause. She used to say, "I am not the one to come to if you need a fuzzy hug or someone to listen. I am the one to come to if you need to get something done. If you want to make a plan, if you need advice about making your life better." Her sayings will forever resonate with me. She would say, "Lila, you work just as hard to make a lot of money as you do a little. Make a lot." She told her artists, "Don't make a little painting that I can sell for a few $1,000s. Make me a big one I can sell for a lot." Motherhood brought forth a whole new side to Carolyn. It made her more patient, more soft, more understanding. She spoke in this soft little voice when Mattson entered the room. "Hi, lovey," she would say. One would have thought that Carolyn would have been an uncompromising follow-the-rules mother, but Mattson spent more nights cuddled in with her and Chris than almost any child I know. She loved Mattson fiercely, and this meant making sure she was raising the kind of man she would want to end up with. She taught him old-school manners, dressed him impeccably, especially for travel and even with hats. Chris and I can hear her voice in our heads if Mattson is in clothes that would not meet her approval. And we hear that voice loudly. She read him so many great books, the childhood classics like James and the Giant Peach and Island of the Blue Dolphin. She showed him great, fantastic art. I think he's actually seen more art than I have. He spent so much time in great artist studios and galleries all around the world. She cultivated his palate. Any of you who have shared a dinner with Mattson are well aware that linguine and clams with white wine sauce or prime rib with caramelized onions and a port wine reduction, two of his favorites, are not the usual choices for a 9-year-old boy. I will do my best to continue to help raise this little man with the ideals of his mother. Carolyn and I spoke or saw one another every day as mothers. We raised Mattson and Fliss alongside one another, so it is not hard to continue on as one tribe. 2 kids, 2 dads, and 1 mom who will forever hear the voice of the other mother. She may not be seen, but she is heard. "43 years of sisterhood allowed me to really know Carolyn. There are no words left unspoken. We knew exactly how we felt about each other, and everyone, and everything else. There are no regrets other than I wish I still had someone to share all of the memories of my whole life with. Memories that those of you who have sisters understand only a sister would know. I wish I had Carolyn to still make memories with. I miss us talking on the phone 9 times a day about little stupid things. I miss her as the sounding board for my business, for my marriage, for the kids. I miss the 6 of us, the Francises and the Baileys. We seem like such a small group now. Carolyn was an enormous presence, and her absence leaves a gaping hole. There will never be a day I don't think of her wishing she was beside me. Shortly after her death, Chris and I realized how truly wide the scope of Carolyn's fierce generosity had traveled. Artists and collectors reached out from all corners of the globe. Many of their comments surround you on the banners in this tent. These sentiments, these words have comforted us deeply. The force that was Carolyn cannot be put to rest. Chris and I, with the help of some dear friends, have started the Carolyn Glass O'Bailey Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. The foundation's mission is to continue Carolyn Glass O'Bailey's vision of supporting the arts and sciences and educating the public about the importance of continued support for arts and sciences. Near the entrance in the first section of the tent, there's a table for the foundation. Please consider taking a moment to fill out a card and become actively involved in her legacy. You can make a pledge if you wish, or just add your address and email to be part of our mailing list. It is comforting to know that through the foundation, Matson will grow up knowing the incredible force that was his mother.